स्टॉक्स में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हो पर लगता है कि शुरू करने के लिए बहुत पैसा चाहिए। आप 100 रुपए से भी स्टॉक्स ले सकते हो। डीमैट अकाउंट बनाना बिल्कुल फ्री है, दैट टू विदाउट एनी ईएम। और स्टॉक सिलेक्शन के लिए सारी डिटेल आपको एक ही ऐप पर मिल जाती है, सो नो कंफ्यूजन। और बाय सेल करें एक ही क्लिक में, तो नो कॉम्प्लिकेशंस। अपना फर्स्ट स्टॉक आज ही खरीदो। डाउनलोड करो नाउ।
Very good evening, students. In this session, we are once again going to discuss about the next lesson in supplementary, that is journey to the end of the earth. The lesson belongs to a journey by the South writer Tishani Doshi, who was on Russia's research vision during the secondary students, and she visited Antarctica, the coldest, windiest, and the driest continent in the world. It was program and ice. Through this program, the writer visited there, and whatever she has observed there, discussed in the lesson. In the beginning, the lesson describes about the historical background of Antarctica. When it was a warm place in the beginning, when the creatures like dinosaurs were at that time, and it was Gondwana, the amalgamated land mass, when there were high temperatures, and the creatures like dinosaurs, mammoth were survived at that time. And there were huge variety of flora and fauna at that time. For the millions year Gondwana thrived, and after that the mammals got underway when the climate became cool. And it was a rare place to understand what was in the beginning. And later on, the writer Tisani Doshi started her journey from Madras.
कैसे बैंक हो? फिर बैंक से झगड़ा। कहा था चूज कोटक 811 अकाउंट खोलना 3 मिनट। मक्खन। अरे पर यूपीआई क्यूआर स्कैन मक्खन। एफडी लोन्स डेबिट कार्ड क्रेडिट कार्ड सब स्मूथ लाइक कोटक 811 3 मिनट में अकाउंट ओपन। एफडीज लोन्स कार्ड्स म्यूचुअल फंड्स सब मक्खन। Get a metal debit card with Kotak 811. दैनिक भास्कर ऐप में आपका स्वागत है। राजस्थान की लाइव, ब्रेकिंग, ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट और एक्सक्लूसिव खबरें सबसे पहले यहाँ टॉप न्यूज में मिलेंगी। इसके साथ ही आप अपने चुने हुए शहर की लोकल खबरें रियल टाइम में वीडियो के साथ तत्काल देख सकते हैं। आगे आपको बॉलीवुड, बिजनेस, स्पोर्ट्स, लाइफस्टाइल, जॉब, एजुकेशन जैसी विशेष कैटेगरीज भी मिलेंगी। इसके अलावा भास्कर खास में मिलेंगे एक्सप्लेनर, स्पेशल सीरीज और कॉलम भी। यहाँ ई पेपर में रोज सुबह 6 बजे राजस्थान के 350 से ज्यादा शहरों के अखबार पढ़ सकते हैं। अब सारी खबरें वीडियो में भी देख सकते हैं। एक बार वीडियो चलाएं और लगातार पसंद की न्यूज देखते जाएं। बस अब देर किस बात की, दैनिक भास्कर ऐप पढ़ते, देखते और सुनते रहें। अभी डाउनलोड करें दैनिक भास्कर ऐप। सच्ची बात बेधड़क।
Antarctica. Let us discuss about Antarctica. As we know, it was an amalgamated mass in the beginning of the Earth, and finally, it shaped the countries like today. The most important fact about the Antarctica is that it maintains the temperature of the Earth. For a few times, it has been seen because of the overpopulation, there is overconsumption of the four biological system, and because of this, there is a threat of the global warming. And after the threat of the global warming, it is the risk factor for melting the glaciers, causing the coastal town to be shrink. Yes, we are going to discuss about the some important points that reflect especially as the question's perspective, and the most important one, the phytoplankton. Phytoplankton are those single-celled plants that nourish at least 90% of food chain of the marine animals. And these single plants participate in an important process called photosynthesis and wondrously produce a carbonic organic compounds, glucose, to produce as a food. And in spite of all this, these are very important. And on the other hand, the scholars, the scientists mention that there is the depletion of the ozone layers. And they want, if there is a further depletion in the ozone layers, there is a threat of global warming, and because of the threat of the global warming, there is the risk of the living creatures also on the earth. And we have to move. The next important topic is the program on the ice. The writer Tisani Doshi visited the Antarctica. It also based on the program on ice. It was first headed by the Canadian Joplin, who was tired of courting the celebrities, retired men, and also the old ones, because they evaluate a little about it, and there was no a comfortable response by them. That's why the writer decided this time to go in such kind of a tour. And the Canadian Joplin, through the student program on ICE, decided to secondary students to visit the Earth's important perspective so that they can understand the important process that is the climate change, that is the threat of global warming, and also a lot of harm done to the surroundings. The secondary students are the curiosity seekers. They will understand the importance of the process after knowing all kind of activities, and they will also aware the people here to understand about the planet and how to protect it. It was the program Arise. And definitely now we move to the perspective of life on the earth. Antarctica is a very important place because it is pristine, because of the lack of diversity, and human cannot stay here as far as this. Let us talk about the human impact on the earth, on the planet. Before humans' arrival, each and everything was on a peaceful atmosphere in a natural process, and since the human has arrived on the earth, it made a ruckus, it made a chaotic conditions with a dominance of on this earth, itching to find out the surroundings as well as the entire perspective on the earth. And hence, the human has created a lot of problem for the entire environment. Nowadays, because of the burning fuels, there is a thick layer of the carbon dioxide around us. And because of the pollution, slowly or steadily, the temperature of the earth is increasing. And because of this, we understand that there is a threat of global warming. And because of the global warming, there is an untimely climate change. Sometimes we see that there is heavy rain, sometimes there is drought, and sometimes there is imbalance of the things in the atmosphere. And for this, the human has made left us battling with other species. Human has a great impact on. Now we have few words in Hindi for the lesson Journey to the End of the Earth. Journey to the End of the Earth दक्षिण भारतीय दीपिका तिसानी दोषी की रूसी अनुसंधान जहाज पर की गई एक यात्रा है जो धरती के उस छोर की यात्रा है जहां पर बर्फ ही बर्फ है। ये मद्रास की भूमध्य रेखा से उस क्षेत्र की ओर आरंभ हुई जहां पर 9 समय विभाजक बिंदु, 6 भूखंड और 3 भाग पानी यानी जल है। इसमें लेखिका बताती है कि जो अंटार्कटिका है ये आरंभ में एक मिश्रित भूभाग था जहां पर तापमान अधिक था और डायनासोर जैसे जीव विद्यमान थे और ढेर सारी वनस्पतियां और जीव अंत में थे। कालांतर में इन जीवों का लोप हो गया और धरती पर स्तनधारियों का आना आरंभ हुआ। धीरे धीरे ये विशालकाय जो हिमखंड थे ये टूटते गए और दुनिया को आज वर्तमान जैसा आकार प्रदान किया। इसमें रीका बताती है कि जैसे जैसे वो भूखंड अलग हुए मध्य में एक ध्रुवीय धारा आ गई जो इसे ठंडा बनाए हुए है, यानी धरती की सतह को ठंडा बनाए हुए ताकि इसका तापमान न बढ़ सके। जब तक मानव इस धरती पर नहीं आया था सब कुछ शुद्ध था और सब कुछ प्राकृतिक यानी स्वाभाविक रूप से चल रहा था। जैसे ही मानव का इस धरती पर आगमन हुआ उसने प्राकृतिक संसाधन का अत्यधिक दोहन किया और इस प्रकृति को अपने नियंत्रण में रखने की उसे खुजली सी लग गई और इसने यहाँ पर अशांति पैदा कर दी जिससे अन्य जीव जंतुओं को खतरा हो गया और प्राकृतिक असंतुलन पैदा हो गया। वर्तमान में देखा जाए तो फाइटोप्लैंक्टन ऐसी एक कोष की वनस्पति है जो लगभग 90% समुद्री जीवों के भोजन का पोषण। If we talk about humans' arrival on this planet is concerned, the prognosis is not good because human had overconsumed the natural resources and also left us other species battling with us. We can understand that there were the many creatures departed from this planet because of the lack of natural atmosphere. And it is our planet, we must understand that we have to protect it. And after reading this lesson, we find out that Antarctica is a safe zone, a kind of place which protects us from the burning temperature. And it is necessary to protect Antarctica to maintain the living existence on the earth. So, the lesson journey to the end of the earth was based on Tisani Dothi's academic tour on Russian research vessel to the end of the planet, to respect the planet, to understand the planet, and to aware the others about it, that they must understand the threat of the global warming and a cause of unnecessary climate change, a cause of the existence of the other living being to be extinct. So it is our duty that being a human being, we must understand the importance of other living being and to protect our earth. And hence, we वैज्ञानिकों ने सावधान किया है कि अगर ओजोन की परत में आगे फिर से क्षय हुई तो फाइटोप्लैंक्टन के क्रियाकलाप पर असर पड़ेगा और समस्त जो है खाद्य श्रृंखला चरमरा जाएगी और यहाँ तक कि जीवों का अस्तित्व भी विलुप्त हो सकता है। इसलिए जो है ओजोन परत को क्षय होने से रोका जाए। तिसानी दोषी जिस कार्यक्रम के तहत गए उसका नाम था विद्यार्थियों का बर्फ बनाना और इसी वजह से जो माध्यमिक स्तर के विद्यार्थियों को दिया जाएगा ताकि वे अत्यधिक इसमें रुचि दें और बड़े उत्साह के साथ वे इस धरती पर जीवन के महत्व को समझेंगे, विशेषकर जलवायु परिवर्तन को जो अंटार्कटिका में पूरी तरीके से परिलक्षित हो रहा है, जहाँ पर अनेकों प्रकार से हिमखंड बनते और बिगड़ते दिखाई दे रहे हैं। अंटार्कटिका अपने आप में अधूरा है, एक रहस्य है और परीक्षण की दृष्टि प्रयोग की दृष्टि अत्यंत विशुद्ध स्थान है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर जैव विविधता का अभाव है। किसानी दोषी ने यहाँ पर इसकी जो जलवायु की विशेषता है उसके बारे में बताया है कि यहाँ पर अनेकों प्रकार के वायुमंडल हैं और इस विविधता और विशुद्धता के कारण अंटार्कटिका आज भी वो स्थान है जहाँ पर हम वर्तमान भविष्य के बारे में जान सकते हैं। ये एक विशुद्ध स्थान है जिससे हम वर्तमान में रहते हुए भूत की स्थिति का पता लगा सकते हैं। अतः ये जो पार्ट जर्नी टू द एंड ऑफ द अर्थ है, ये प्राकृतिक उन दृश्यों का चित्रण कर रहा है और हमें उस उत्तरी ध्रुव की ओर बता रहा है जहाँ पर ये धरती अपने आप में सुरक्षित है और इसके बढ़ते तापक्रम को बचाया जा सकता है अगर हम अंटार्कटिका को इसी प्रकार विश्व रखेंगे। अन्यथा बढ़ते हुए तापक्रम के Dear students, once again very good morning to all of you and welcome to in our official channel Amit Sir Official, and we are just in underway to the supplementary lessons where we are going to discuss about the next lesson number 2, and it is the Tiger King, a famous lesson. In this lesson, the writer describes about man's attitude towards animal. As we know, since the very beginning, the man has been hunting the animals, and because of its own hobbies, but as we know, it is an offense. And hence, in this story, a kind of either it is a parable or it is kind of something which is based on a fiction. But in spite of all this, it has a kind of fact or morale like that. The story is having something left before this. And in this story, there is an incident which is a very different one, but the narrator narrated it very beautifully. The narrator is Kalki, and we shall move in this chapter. The story begins to a royal family of Pridvanpuram, where the prince was born. And when he was born, the astrologers bear card for the prediction of the royal prince in the family. All the astrologers visited there and predicted of the prince's greatness, saying that he will be a great king, the warrior of warriors, champion of champions, hero of heroes. But one thing was there which the chief astrologers decided not to speak about it. But the newborn child was barely 10 days ago made a great words from his upper lips. When the chief astrologers tried to make it out, then he was forced to speak about the prediction which was the important one in this story. The chief astrologer predicted of his death by a tiger. At this, the royal prince growled with the word saying that let the tigers be aware. In reply, the British officer's wife told that she agreed the British officer by doing this and thanks to the king. And finally, the Tiger King retained his kingdom paying so much cost. And finally, when the Tiger King killed all the tigers in his state, now he needed to kill more to fulfill his promise to kill the 100 tigers. So now he had to marry the princess of nearby state, and he also started killing there the number of tigers. But soon the number of tigers came to an end, and finally the king succeeded to kill 99 tigers. Now one more tiger needed to fulfill his promise of 100, but it was easy to say than to find 100 tiger. And finally, somehow, Diwan managed the 100 tiger after a lot of struggle, as he knew that the king was at high temper in a furious approach. So it is a very necessary for him to find the 100 tiger for him to make his anger silent. And finally, the Diwan managed the 100 tiger from a park at Madras and managed the tiger to release him in the forest nearby where the now few words in the story the tiger king. The tiger king एक ऐसी कहानी है जो एक कथानक है, कल्पित है, लेकिन इसके पीछे बहुत सारा मोरल यानी नैतिकता का संदेश छोड़ जाती है। एक व्यक्ति का किसी भी वन्य जीव के प्रति इतना हिंसक होना वो स्वयं में चिंता का विषय है। एक भविष्यवाणी में पढ़ करके और किसी जीव की हत्या करना वो भी अपने आप में मनुष्य के उस जानवर के प्रति रवैये दिखाता है। इस कहानी में राजघराने में पैदा हुए राजकुमार का उल्लेख है, जिसके बारे में ज्योतिषियों ने उसके जीवन के बारे में भविष्यवाणी कर दी थी। लोगों ने उसको महानतम बताया, योद्धाओं में योद्धा बताया, विजेताओं में विजेता बताया, और पुरोहित जोशी ने आगे कुछ कहना चाहा कि वो रुक गया, लेकिन जब उससे विवश किया गया तो उसने ये भी कह दिया कि राजकुमार का जो जन्म हुआ है वो वृष नक्षत्र में हुआ है, इसलिए इनकी जो मृत्यु है वो चीते से होगी। इस पर जो शिशु था वो डरने के बजाय पूरी तरीके से गुर्राया और कहा कोई संदेह नहीं होना चाहिए और इसमें कोई समझदारी नहीं है, बल्कि ये बताया जाए कि मृत्यु किस प्रकार से होगी। इस पर प्रमुख जोशी ने सवे चीते से सावधान रहने की बात कही थी। जब टाइगर किंग युवा हुआ तो उसे उस भविष्यवाणी के बारे में याद आया और वहां से उसने चीतों का शिकार करने की अपनी कार्य योजना शुरू कर दी। जिस समय वो अपनी इस कार्य योजना में लगा हुआ था, तभी एक अनजानी बाधा उसके जीवन में आ खड़ी हुई। Very good evening to all of you, dear students. And after finishing the summary of the post section, now we enter the supplementary. Here, in this sequence, now we turn to lesson number first, the third level. The third level, you know that a kind of fantasy, whatever we think are different, whatever we imagine, something like that we imagine about the past. The lesson, the third level refers to such kind of story by a guy, means a man named Charlie. Charlie worked in an office and one day he got late to go to his home. Hence he thought to pass a subway, a shortcut to reach his home early. While doing this, he passed through a tunnel which was unknown to him. And crossing the tunnel, he reached a level which was unknown to him, where the things were odd looking, the people were odd looking, and there were the wooden chambers, windows, and finally he called it the third level. And all this happened at New York railway station in the Grand Central building where he worked. When Charlie told his psychiatric friend Sam Banner about this, then Sam Banner told Charlie that it was his waking dream, his wish fulfillment, and a refuge from reality, because the modern world is full of fear, doubt, uncertainty, anxiety, war, and insecurity. And that is why he talks like this. But Charlie wanted to prove his idea the third level, for which he turned to collect the things that belong to the old one, like American Rashtrapati, President Franklin Roosevelt, who also collected the stamps. And he also collected the envelope and also the newspaper of the old time. Meanwhile, he thought of all this. He decided to go to Gettysburg, the place which was considered a peaceful one. For this, Charlie went to coin dealer to exchange his new and the current currency to the old ones, as he wanted to go Gettysburg in the past century in 1894. So for this reason, he collected the old style bills, and when he visited the counter and asked the booking clerk to give him the ticket, paying the money, then the booking clerk told him that the money that he gave was not a real one and it was a fraud. At this, Charlie realized the situation and turned back on his feet from there, as he knew that it was a kind of thing to go to jail. Hence, he departed his home. And after that, he was lost in such kind of ideas. Meanwhile, he found one envelope which was of the past time, but it was not like the other. It was written in a paper that was addressed to his grandfather, and the address was belonging to his friend Sam, where in the letter he had requested to come with Lucia to Sam. As the Sam requested both of them to visit there in such a atmosphere which is full of peace and nature, and someone was playing piano there and the bird was singing Sing Nelly Home like the song. And it was a kind of fantasy that Charlie realized at the New York railway station Grand Central Building, where he found such kind of happening, whether it was real or not. जब लिफाफे को उसने खोला तो उसमें कुछ यूं लिखा था। उसके मित्र ने उस लिफाफे पर उसके दादाजी का पता लिखा था और उसमें उसने अनुरोध किया था चार्ली से कि चार्ली अपनी पत्नी लूसिया सहित वहां पर चली जाए, जिसे गेट्सबर्ग कहा गया, जहां पर तीसरा तल है। प्राकृतिक वातावरण अत्यधिक शांत, जहां पर उसका मित्र सैम अपना पुराना अनाज और भूसे का व्यापार कर रहा था, जहां पर अभी कोई सिंग नेली होम नामक गीत गा रहा था, कोई पियानो बजा रहा था। सुकून के पल थे, शांति के पल थे, और वहां पर इतना ज्यादा अशांति नहीं थी। और उसने चार्ली से कहा कि कृपया यहाँ आ जाइए, अपनी पत्नी को साथ लेकर के भी आइए और ढूंढते रहिए तीसरा तल, क्योंकि तीसरा तल है और वो तीसरा तल कोई और नहीं बल्कि केवल ये एक मानसिक रूप से, वैचारिक रूप से, काल्पनिक रूप से मन की संतुष्टि के लिए किया गया चिंतन का स्तर था। इस जीवन की वो स्टेज है जिसको हम कभी कभी ट्रांजिशन मान लेते हैं, एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे पहुंच जाते हैं, और वास्तविकता में हम जीवन में कल्पनाओं को और वास्तविकताओं को जोड़ करके ही सामंजस्य बना करके चलते हैं। कभी कभी वास्तविक दुनिया से जब हम पूरी तरह से ऊब जाते हैं तो ये कल्पनाओं का दौर होता है, जहाँ पर हम चिंतन करके ही सही अपने आप को सुकून दे देते हैं। ये पाठ वास्तव में मनोरंजन हास्य से परिपूर्ण है, लेकिन एक दार्शनिक पक्ष भी छोड़ के चला जाता है, जहां पर हमारा तो देखा कि तीसरे तल पर उसे चीजें बिल्कुल अजीब दिखी और इसी को उसने तीसरा तल कह दिया। और जब उसने इसका जिक्र अपने मनोचिकित्सक मित्र से किया तो उसने कहा, ये आपका एक जागता हुआ सपना है, आपकी इच्छा पूर्ति, क्योंकि आप वास्तविकता की दुनिया से भागना चाहते हो। जैसा कि आजकल की जो दुनिया है वो भय से, तनाव से, चिंता से, असुरक्षा से और युद्ध से भरी हुई है। इसीलिए वो तंग आकर के इन सब से दूर भागना चाहता है। जब भी चार्ली तीसरे तल की बात करता, उसकी जो पत्नी लूसिया है उसे बहुत ही बेचैनी होती, बहुत ही दुखी होती, क्योंकि उसे ये डर था कि कहीं चार्ली उस परिवार को छोड़ करके, उस सारी जिम्मेदारी को छोड़ करके अलग न चले जाए। उसे लगता था कि ये चार्ली का एक पागलपन है और वो तीसरा तल ढूंढना बंद करे। लेकिन चार्ली कहाँ मानने वाला था। वो तो सिद्ध करना चाहता था कि तीसरा तल है। इसके लिए वो पुरानी चीजों का संग्रह करने लगा, लिफाफों को इकट्ठा करने लगा, डाक टिकट को इकट्ठा करने लगा, पुराने समय के समाचार पत्रों को इकट्ठा करने लगा। और तो और वो उस जगह पे जाने लगा जहां पर उसे ऐसा लगा कि ये पुराने चलन का रेलवे ट्रैक है, पुराने चलन के लोकोमोटिव डीजल इंजन है। इन सारी चीजों को साबित करने के लिए वो पूरी तरह से लादे था। आखिरकार उसको द वर्ल्ड नामक एक पुराना समाचार पत्र मिल गया, जिसके पेज उसको लाइब्रेरी में भी मिले और उसने इस चीज को सिद्ध करने की कोशिश की कि तीसरा तल है। तभी क्या हुआ कि उसे कुछ पुराने लिफाफे मिल गए। उन लिफाफों में ढूंढते ढूंढते उसे एक ऐसा लिफाफा मिल गया जो अंदर से खाली। थर्ड लेवल, तीसरा तल, एक फैंटेसी, एक कल्पना जो हर किसी के मन में होती। ऐसी ही एक कल्पना चार्ली नामक व्यक्ति के अंदर आई जब उसने ग्रांड सेंट्रल स्टेशन में तीसरे तल का अनुभव किया। एक समय, क्योंकि दीजिए एक रात जब वो कार्य करके ऑफिस से देर में घर के लिए निकला तो उसे जाने की जल्दी थी। उसने विचार किया कि वह जो है छोटे रास्ते से जाएगा और ऐसा करते हुए एक सुरंग से पहुंचा। और जब वो सुरंग से होकर पहुंचा तो उसे एक ऐसी जगह नजर आई जो बिल्कुल विचित्र थी और जहां पर पुरानी चलन की चीजें थी। और वहां जो टिकट की खिड़कियां थी वो लकड़ी की थी, पूरी तरीके से पुरानी चलन की थी। थूकदान पीतल के थे। लोग जो वहां पर थे वो चश्मे पहने हुए थे और उनके ऊपर सुरक्षा कवच भी था। जिन लोगों को वहां पर उसने देखा वो लंबे कद के थे, ढीले कपड़ों में थे, मूछें बड़ी थीं और दाढ़ियां भी बड़ी बड़ी थी। महिलाएं भी लूज वस्त्रों में थीं और सब कुछ 19वीं शताब्दी जैसा था। यद्यपि वो 20वीं शताब्दी में है, लेकिन बात 19वीं शताब्दी की कर रहा कि उसका वो वैचारिक चिंतन है जो उसे ले जाता है 100 साल पीछे की ओर, यानी पिछली शताब्दी में, जहां पर वो सुकून के पल का अनुभव करता है और चिंतन करता है और अपने आप। Dear students, and good evening to all of you, and we are going to once again discuss about a new lesson from our prose section, that is going places. In this story there is a story of an adolescent, a teenager girl named Sophie, who is always in daydream, thinking about an ambitious life which is full of luxury, which is full of entertaining, that is her best fulfillment. Though she was born in a poor family where somehow the daily things are managed, as the father was a mechanic and also his brother was a mechanic. In such a poverty-stricken family, Sophie was a different one. She thought of all the luxurious things. Meanwhile, she was with her friend Jancy, and both were on way to market, talking about starting a market, where Sophie told Jancy that she would also start a boutique. But Jansi was surprised at this, as she knew that she would not get so much money to start such kind of business. But unaware of the fact, Sufi thought that she would become a manager in the biscuit factory, and she would become a model and or a fashion designer or become an actress. Dear students, and good evening to all of you. And we are going to once again discuss about a new lesson from our prose section, that is going places. In this story, there is a story of an adolescent, a teenager girl named Sufi, who is always in daydream, thinking about an ambitious life, which is full of luxury, which is full of entertaining, that is her best fulfillment. Though she was born in a poor family where somehow the daily things are managed, as the father was a mechanic and also his brother was a mechanic. In such a poverty stricken family, Sufi was a different one. She thought of all the luxurious things. Meanwhile, she was with her friend Jansi. Jansi told her that it needs a lot of money, but Sufi thought it is a very easy thing to earn money. Meanwhile, in this perspective, she now talks about a celebrity, a football player in the United team, and he is Danny Casey. He assumes a different motive in life. She thinks of him about to become a something with him. And here she assumes an ideology to meet him in Rose window at the arcade while she was with her little brother Derek to go to market. First, she revealed this story to her brother Job. Job was surprised. Then she told her that it needs a lot of money. But Sophie thought it is a very easy thing to earn money. Meanwhile, in this perspective, she now talks about a celebrity, a football player in the United team, and he is Danny Casey. He assumes a different motive in life. She thinks of him about to become something with him. And here she assumes an ideology to meet him in Rose window at the arcade while she was with her little brother Derek to go to market. First, she revealed this story to her brother Job. Job was surprised and did not believe at her. And finally, Sufi tried to tell this through Job to her father. Her father denied the fact that it was only unnecessary talking by her. At the meantime, Jansi was found out about it, and Jansi asked Sophie whether she met Danny Casey or not. As Jansi knew that Sophie was just finding the words to assume a story which is full of dreams. Sophie told Jansi that she met Danny Casey and she requested him for an autograph for her little brother Derek. But unfortunately, neither she nor Danny Casey had a paper or pen to have an autograph. But Danny Casey promised her to meet her again at the appointed place. Hence, Sufi waits for Danny Casey at the appointed place, where only the few people would gather who waited for their loving ones. Hence, Sufi waits for him for a long time, but finding that he will not visit there and becomes disappointed. And finally, it was a great challenge for her to prove that whether she was right or wrong, as all were not trusted on her words. It was a challenging zone, but finally, she found herself on the way. And she became disappointed as Danny Casey would never come to visit her. The story comes to an end as an unsatisfied desire by someone who only assumes of her life to unite. Sophie told Jancy that she met Danny Casey and she requested him for an autograph for her little brother Derek. But unfortunately, neither she nor Danny Casey had a paper or pen to have an autograph. But Danny Casey promised her to meet her again at the appointed place. Hence, Sophie waits for Danny Casey at the appointed place, where only the few people would gather who waited for their loving ones. Hence, Sophie waits for him for a long time, but finding that he will not visit there and becomes disappointed. And finally, it was a great challenge for her to prove that whether she was right or wrong, as all were not trusted on her words. It was a challenging zone, but finally, she found herself on the way. And she became disappointed as Danny Casey would never come to visit her. The story comes to an end as an unsatisfied desire by someone who only assumes of her life to unite. Sophie told Jancy that she met Danny Casey and she requested him for an autograph for her little brother Derek. But unfortunately, neither she nor Danny Casey had a paper or pen to have an autograph. But Danny Casey promised her to meet her again at the appointed place. Hence, Sophie waits for Danny Casey at the appointed place, where only the few people would gather who waited for their loving ones. Hence, Sophie waits for him for a long time, but finding that he will not visit there and becomes disappointed. And finally, it was a great challenge for her to prove that whether she was right or wrong, as all were not trusted on her words. It was a challenging zone, but finally, she found herself on the way. And she became disappointed as Danny Casey would never come to visit her. The story comes to an end as an unsatisfied desire by someone who only assumes of her life to unite. Sophie told Jancy that she met Danny Casey and she requested him for an autograph for her little brother Derek. But unfortunately, neither she nor Danny Casey had a paper or pen to have an autograph. But Danny Casey promised her to meet her again at the appointed place. Hence, Sophie waits for Danny Casey at the appointed place, where only the few people would gather who waited for their loving ones. Hence, Sophie waits for him for a long time, but Finding that he will not visit there and becomes disappointed. And finally, it was a great challenge for her to prove that whether she was right or wrong, as all were not trusted on her words. It was a challenging zone, but finally she found herself on the way and she became disappointed as Danny Casey would never come to visit her. The story comes to an end as an unsatisfied desire by someone who only assumes of her life to unite. The lesson concludes that an adolescence has different kind of dreaming thing, but it is not real. A dreaming can be easy for adolescents, but as far as the struggle of life is concerned, it a different thing. We will have to face the reality in life, then we can predict of such kind of an exceptional life, which is full of dream. And it is the end of the lesson. Now, I have some words in Hindi as far as the students are concerned. सूफी एक युवा लड़की है जो किशोरावस्था से गुजरती है, जहाँ पर उसके अंदर वीर पूजा की जो भावना है वो दिखी जाती है। ऐसे में ये वीरों की उपासना करते हैं और विपरीत के प्रति आकर्षित होते हैं। दैनिक ऐसे ही इस कहानी में एक ऐसा कैरेक्टर है जिसे सूफी मिलती है और उसको अपना जो है नायक मान लेती है, जो यूनाइटेड क्लब आयरलैंड में एक फुटबॉल खिलाड़ी है। वो अपनी सहेली को बताती है कि वह उसे रॉयस विंडो में मिलती है बाजार में और वो उसे अपने छोटे भाई के लिए ऑटोग्राफ देने के लिए कहती है, लेकिन दुर्भाग्यवश दोनों के पास ना तो कोई कागज होता है ना कलम होता है और वो ऑटोग्राफ नहीं दे पाते। लेकिन वह फिर भी उससे मिलने का वादा करता है। वो उस वादे को सोच करके प्रतीक्षा करती है, लेकिन वास्तव में डैनी कैसे उससे कभी नहीं मिल पाता है, क्योंकि ये सूफी की खुद की अपनी एक विचारधारा का चित्रण है जो उस कहानी में दिखाया गया है। ऐसे जो युवा हमारे हैं वो कई कल्पनाओं में खोए रहते हैं, जहाँ पर उनके सपनों के बारे में Dear student, dear students, good morning to all of you. And we are going to start a new chapter in our English prose, class 12th, that is Poet and Pancake. It is a comical and humorous description by the writer Ashoka Mitran, where, as the title suggests, the poet and pancake. Poet, one hand, means a talent which is literary, and the pancake means the talent how to decorate, how to design, or how to paint the characters playing a role in the film. And all of the activities take place in Gemini Studio. Gemini Studio was famous at its time, and the players, the characters who played in the films in the past time used pancakes, a material makeup at that time. It was totally different and loaded on truck. Gemini Studios had a small chamber which includes a complicated included a complicated atmosphere because it has a half dozen mirror in the small chamber. It was just like a saloon where one those subjected to makeup had to face a great problem. And in such a situation, it was a fierce misery for the character who are subjected to makeup because he had to face incandescent light all around it. And as far as the famous name in this story is concerned, a great character, Kothamangalam Subbu. Kothamangalam Subbu was a Brahmin, and by virtue, he had the talent to adjust himself to the circumstances, whether it is adverse or suitable. And for his readiness and for his immediate responses, he was very close to his boss. He was at number 2 in Gemini Studios. And whenever the boss or any high rank officers orders him, he was always ready to follow him. And there were many members who were jealous of him because he was so popular and she was so close to the boss, and also there were so many members who visited to him. It was that's why they were jealous to Kothamangalam Subbu. And one of them was the office boy, who always blamed Kothamangalam Subbu for not able to become a writer and or to become an actress or a script writer, and his literary talents was dwarfing at that moment, and he was given a work of crowd painting. It was a very good thing for him that doing so he had not to think a lot of about how to paint or how to decorate the characters. There was hierarchy in Gemini Studios, and because of this, the chief actors are subjected to the chief makeup man, and the assistant actors are subjected to the assistant makeup man. And as far as the crowd shooting is concerned, it was the responsibility of the office boy. At the same time, there was the most important factor is that a writer's visit in Gemini Studio. And the writer visit was a mystery for those who are in Gemini Studios because he was not so famous as the other poets like Byron, Keats, William Shakespeare, or William Wordsworth. And that's why the man was visiting Gemini Studio was a mystery. And the man was none other but a poet, Stephen Spender. He was not became so easy in the Gemini Studio. बाबुल थारे अंगनारे मैं तो हूँ छेड़ैया रे सजना मैं थारी होके बारी बारी जाऊंगा सजना मैं थारी होके बारी बारी जाऊंगा सजना मैं थारी होके बारी
तो कहाँ ले जा रही हो दूल्हे को बना करके? नए रिश्ते नई शुरुआत का त्योहार हीरो पे सवार।
डियर इन्वेस्टर, एक एक्सपर्ट स्टॉक टिप खास आपके लिए।
ये ऐप डाउनलोड करो और पैसे डबल करो।
एक्सपर्ट जी, बदमाश का बाप हूँ मैं। ऐप डाउनलोड करने से पहले मैं आपका पूरा रिपोर्ट कार्ड निकालूं। मैं मूर्ख नहीं हूँ।
डिस्टेंस यूपीआई कहता है अगर कोई ऐसी सलाह दे तो पहले एडवाइजर की पूरी जांच कर ले और कहे मैं मूर्ख नहीं। जाइए आप भी किसी का टेस्ट लीजिए।
Because his ascent was unable to reach those audience who were there in Gemini Studios, and he has delivered his speech without addressing the members there. So, the visitor at Gemini Studio was unexplained mystery. And after the departure of the such kind of a guest, there was another group was there, and it was considered the communist. Communists were kind of people who do not believe in God, and even they have no repentance to kill their own relatives, sons, father, etc. They visited there also and displayed a drama which was very popular in Gemini Studios. But the most important thing the Gemini Studios members observed that was the makeup of the high quality. And there was also the impact of the Russian Revolution. And the communism was on top. That's why they have discussed a theme, the God that failed. And it was a very popular one, but not very effective in Gemini Studios. Because in Gemini Studio, the people were old belief and they did not consider the things like the uh, communism. They had no meaning from this. So now there is a conclusion of the lesson, the poet and pancake, where there was oddities to take some matter, but all of them was the Kotha Mangalam Subbu, who was the dear students, as you have mentioned about that Hindi language must be also for this. So I will try to do my best to explain the chapter also in English. And today's chapter is related to the prose section, as you know, and that is lesson number 5, Indigo, a famous work from Louis Fisher. In this lesson, Louis Fisher discussed about the sharecropping dispute and how Gandhi became popular through this episode. In the beginning, there is an interview between Louis Fisher and Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi told him how
Excuse me. Can I get a bottle of peace, please?
Sure.
Naturally sourced from the Himalayas. Himalayan peace in a bottle.
माँ काफी स्वीट है, शायद इसीलिए उसे डायबिटीज है। डायबिटीज से आंखों की रोशनी चले जाने का खतरा हो सकता है, जिसे डायबिटिक रेटिनोपैथी कहते हैं। आंखों की रोशनी चले जाने का मतलब क्या होता है, ये मुझसे बेहतर कौन जान सकता है। पर ईयरली आई चेकअप से ये खतरा टल सकता है। माँ ने मुझे इस काबिल बनाया कि मैं अपना ख्याल खुद रख सकती हूँ। आज मैंने उन्हें ये भरोसा दिलाया कि मैं उनका भी ख्याल रख सकती हूँ।
he became so famous after this episode. And the lesson starts with a famous four sharecroppers, Rajkumar Shukla, a poor and uneducated but was resolute in nature, who belonged to a poor Brahmin, but having the power of resolution. And he was known about Mahatma Gandhi in the convention of Indian National Congress in Lucknow. He met Gandhi, but Gandhi, when Gandhi proceeded Motihari, he was detained by the local authorities, and when he tried to disobey it, Gandhi was given a notice. Gandhi wrote on the notice that on one hand, he would not be a bad example to break the law, but should be arrested for the sake of the law. On the other hand, he will surrender himself for the people's service at the Champaran, for which he had come there. And that was the best justice for him in the sake of the people. And hence Gandhi had to appear into the court where he asked either for penalty or the punishment. But the judges delayed the justice and asked him to furnish the bail within 2 hours. Gandhi was firm only on the punishment or the penalty. After all, the judges delayed the justice. A large amount of crowd gathered outside, and the government was baffled. Hence, the judges and other local authorities consulted their seniors, and after all, Gandhi was released, remained at the liberty without bail. It was the first time when civil disobedience and non-violence got victory in the modern time in India. And hence, Gandhi was highlighted with his leader, and he found his position there in Rajkumar Shukla followed very well Gandhi bent. And after a long waiting, Rajkumar Shukla met Gandhi at the appointed place in Calcutta, from where he and Gandhi boarded for the train of Patna. Both met Rajendra Prasad there. Gandhi met Rajendra Prasad and checked the status of the poor Sherpa case. He also escorted the lawyers for taking a large amount of fee from the poor sharecroppers, while their cases were pending without settlements. He escorted them for doing such kind of thing because the farmers were getting poorer and poorer and they were fear stricken. And it was useless to represent a case like this in the court. And after all, Gandhi set a new plan for this. And after that, a lot of preparation was done. The depositions were 10,000 farmers been taken, and each group has the responsibility to be arrested in the court. Gandhi proceeded Motihari. When he proceeded Motihari, he was detained by the local authorities. And when Gandhi tried to disobey, now for the students who want the summary of this lesson in English. ये पाठ गांधी जी के इम्पोर्टेंट सहयोग से रिलेटेड है, जिसका नाम है चंपारण में नील की खेती। इस पाठ में राजकुमार शुक्ला जो एक गरीब किसान है, उनके आग्रह पर महात्मा गांधी चंपारण आए और यहाँ पर उन्होंने चंपारण की जो बटाई वाली खेती का जो विवाद था उसके संदर्भ में पूरी तरीके से निस्तारण किया। इससे पहले यहाँ पर जो वकील थे वो किसानों का पक्ष रखते थे, लेकिन वो मामला लंबित पड़ा रहता था और पूरी तरह से सुनवाई नहीं होती थी। महात्मा गांधी जब चंपारण पहुंचे तो उन्होंने वकीलों को फटकार लगाई कि ये जो वकील हैं ये पहले से ही अपने आप में आर्थिक रूप से कमजोर हैं, पैसे त्रस्त हैं और इनसे इस प्रकार से पैसा लेना ये बिल्कुल न्यायोचित नहीं है, बल्कि कोर्ट में जाना ही बंद कर देना चाहिए। गांधी जी ने वकीलों से मिलकर के इस केस की नए तरीके से प्रस्तावना और योजना तैयार की, जिसमें सारे वकील लोग शामिल हुए और एक नई प्रक्रिया आरंभ की गई। जांच के में बहुत सारे किसान भी शामिल हो गए।